Hello and welcome back to the Dublo Railway. Today I thought I'd talk about inclines and the fact that this layout has two main levels, something that you don't see in real life. Well, Hornby Dublo was originally, I think, the ideal tabletop railway, and therefore there's always been an imperative with some layouts to cram in as much as possible. And that's certainly what I've tried to do here. Now this layout is clearly on two levels. You can see the turntable there and the upper level through there with its stations and all the points, and over to the what is the south end of the layout where you see again the bridge work and so forth. And the question is, how do you get from one level to the other? Well, you use inclines, and I've got three engines parked on one of the main inclines. There are two main inclines. Now this incline has got an up and a down, as you can see here, and at the bottom of the incline they become one line and they go into one of the main circuits around the bottom of the layout. This, just for the sake of identifying it, is circuit number 1, and this is wired so that it can operate independently as circuit number 1 on the bottom level, or it can integrate with what is circuit number 5, which is sitting where these locomotives are sitting, and just be worked off one controller. These can either work independently or together, which means that when you get down to a point like this, you're not messing around with two controllers. Now, the incline. Well, this is the first incline that I built on this layout. It's 1 in 30, which is, I am told, about as much as we can expect of these engines. Now, the 8Fs work well on this incline. This locomotive not so much, and its sisters as well. They're not, in my experience, able to pull huge loads on the flat, and they're very prone to wheel slips on the incline. So I tend not to use something like this here. Something else that you should see, I'll just use the hand of God briefly. This section covering the incline comes out, and as you can see we've got a whole pile of isolating and power wires here, and in here is where I've managed to hide them. I hope you can just see that. The lighting's not too good, and this panel just goes on there and sits in there nicely. Anyway, to the inclines. So this is one of the main inclines, and if we follow this around, you can see that it comes around and all the way around here to the station at the south end of the layout. You might be familiar with this from previous videos, and along the bridges that head north again towards the main controls. Now, on the inside lane of this layout, and just excuse that noise, there's a truck going by and I've got the garage door open. This line here, which I'm pointing to, is circuit number 4. Number 1, which I pointed to on the other side, is almost under this bridge, and it's next to these tanker wagons which you see in the foreground. Now, coming off line number 1 is this line here, which you can see right in by the edge of the yellow abutment. Now this comes around and goes under the bridge, and you can see that it is starting to climb. So if we walk back around to where we were, excuse the shaky video, you can see that it continues to climb and goes under yet another bridge, and it climbs from the inside line around the bottom up and onto the top of the layout. Now the gradient here is considerably less than the gradient on this outer incline. It's probably about 1 in 40, and the southern locomotives can handle it. I've put a few of them up there. There are two other small gradients on this layout. One you're looking at here, which runs along and up and over this bridge here, and I had to put an incline here to give me sufficient clearance to get the line that's beneath that through there without any locomotives hitting the bottom of the bridge. So there's a small incline there, and again, to wander back around the layout to where we were before, again, excuse the shaky camera work, there is a small incline here. It's a double incline. It runs up through those points and it runs down again and joins the main line there. The stations that run diagonally across the top of the layout run onto the same line. Now, what is the purpose of this? Well, in the space there we see the engine shed and a few other bits and pieces. Eventually I'm going to wire that up and we'll keep some locomotives in there. But that whole section can be lifted out so that it's possible just to disconnect at that point where you see the rails with the timber shavings in them. Lift the whole thing out, and you can work on that area of track comfortably. Now, in order to do that, it needed a separate little baseboard, and while there's a solid baseboard beneath it, this baseboard sits up, and there are little timber plugs that allow it to be accurately located. So that's the fourth incline. Now, with inclines, obviously you wind up with a level of track above the main track bed, and that brings us to tunnels. Now, these tunnel mouths, such as there are 3 separate tunnel mouths already built. These are made out of MDF and just painted up in an appropriate colour. The clearance between the bottom level here and the top level here is sufficient for a train and a hand. Obviously, because there's a tunnel, you're going to have derailments and problems. It's just the way things are. So you have to be able to reach in there and pull things out. And so this sits at about 3.5 inches of clearance, and everything seems to work reasonably well. So the next thing that you're going to see is some trains running up that incline that you see at the top of this video, and either succeeding in getting to the top or not. Earlier in this video you will have seen this consist sitting up at the south end of the layout, and you'll have seen that also in a previous video, maybe two or three videos ago. What's going to happen is the hand of God is going to intervene, and Those wagons will be placed behind the southern locomotive, and one wagon added, and we're going to see how it performs on this incline. Now, thanks to the miracle of isolating tracks, this is all going to happen on one circuit. The 08, once it's uncoupled from these, will disappear. These two 8Fs will find a place to park up the south end of the layout on the second level, and as I say, because of the miracle of isolating sections, this will not move until we're ready to run the train out of this tunnel and try and get it up this slope. Now, this may seem to some people like an unlikely candidate for hauling freight. It probably is an unlikely candidate for hauling these brick wagons, but one of the ways in which the Southern Railway managed to get these things built was by classifying them for freight as well as passenger service, because there were other demands, shall we say, at the time. Anyway, the plan, as I say, is for the hand of God to intervene. That consist to wind up on the back of this, and everything else get moved out of the way, and then we'll see how this performs. Before I do that, I'd just like to outline a plan that I have for this incline. Now, we've already done this shot, but if we walk up to here, you'll see that in the distance there's a shed which is undergoing a paint job, and in there's a little N2. Now, one of the things that it's extremely difficult to do with Hornby Dublo is to bank, but I've been thinking about using whatever locomotive is in that shed to assist trains up this incline, and I think I've got sufficient isolating sections in place to make that possible. Now, obviously it can't be done with this because it doesn't have a front coupling, but it could be done with this 8F, which has a front coupling off a 4MT. Those castings being exactly the same. Anyway, let's get this set up, and hopefully the next thing you see is perhaps a skid start, perhaps a really good start, or perhaps this thing just sitting here with its wheels spinning. We'll see. The hand of God having done its work, the 08 is sitting isolated up on that small incline in front of the station. You can see down here that the brick wagons are sneaking back into the tunnel. I think there are 6 or 7 of those. And a 3-rail Barnstable is sitting there at the bottom of the incline, ready for a skid start perhaps. Now, behind it is 4MT sitting on circuit number 1, and you can see that these wagons stretch back onto that circuit. Now, from about here, I think there's a plastic fish plate there. From about there, this becomes circuit number 5, so that explains why when power will be applied to this, that the 4MT won't move. The Barnstable is also sitting on an isolated section. It is isolated from these 2 8Fs, which I'm going to bring up the incline, up along here, through this set of points, and just filming from the back of the signal. The signal is synchronized with these points, and a set of points on the far side of the layout, way over there behind the signal box, all again working off one switch, and again working from down at the control end of the layout, which is down there. I can look at this signal and tell whether the points are set for straight ahead or to curve out onto this outer line, which is where the train, if it makes it up the incline, is going to come. It's going to come around here and head on down towards the bridges. And again, I apologize for the traffic noise in the background. I'm now standing outside and filming into the garage. The 8Fs will come up here and go straight ahead, and they will be in an isolated section of track just here. Where is my finger? Just in there, on that that track right by the station. And I think that once that's done, we'll probably call an end to this video, because it's getting quite long, and we've really only dealt with one incline, and there are others to deal with. We'll break this up into a series of videos which will play over the next month or 2 or 3, depending on how busy I get. Okay, so from here it's just going to be a test of adhesion, and we'll see how we go. The points and the signals are set, let's go. Well, if locomotives could sue for defamation, I think this one would be suing me. We've done some tests on this incline and it's performed well. The train behind it you can see now going back into the tunnel, and that's what we're going to pull up this incline, and this is where we're going to start, about halfway, maybe 1/3 of the way up the incline. Everything is set. So the next thing that you'll see is this starting, working its way up the incline, through the points, around the curve, and through the station. This is about where we're hoping to get to. It's this outer line, the one nearest the edge that we'll be using. You can see the 2 8Fs parked there, and a future potential assistance locomotive in its semi-painted shed.